okay, listen, the game is still going on. We're up by 10 with a minute and a half left. But unless we really Steelers this, I'm comfortable pressing record. All right. Hi, guys. First of all, it's been 2 weeks. I did not have the energy to do post-game videos while I was traveling, considering they were both night games. I was not doing a 2 a.m. video and then waiting for it to export and then upload. So we're back, and probably things happen next week. So I'm going to next week's game against the Chargers. But in the meantime, let's talk about this game against the Colts. Maybe I'll talk about those other 2 games since I didn't really talk about them at all. But yeah, Pittsburgh won. Listen, if you're just a box score watcher or you weren't watching this game and you just saw the final score or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, Pittsburgh beat a contender. Or you're going to say, Pittsburgh clearly isn't a real team because the Colts aren't a real team and they just showed us that against Pittsburgh. One of those things is true. Pittsburgh is still not a real team, but I do think that the Colts are real. I mean, you don't have one of the best offenses in the last 25 years without being a legitimate team. Pittsburgh just does this once a season. In the same way that Pittsburgh multiple times this season has trap games that they should easily win, cough, cough, the Miami game here in a couple of weeks. There's always a game where Pittsburgh should get their absolute shit rocked, and then they win it somehow, and then everyone thinks that Pittsburgh's real, and then we get knocked down in the first round of the playoffs. And the reason I'm still confident saying that is because I have not seen that much difference in this game. Yes, the pass rush got there. Daniel Jones threw 3 interceptions and fumbled twice. And they had 6 total turnovers because of the muffed punt as well. But like at the same time, I'm not seeing consistency from this defense, and this is the same defense that got dotted up. I'll give Joe Flacco credit because you can tell Mike Tomlin hates Joe Flacco, not because like of Joe Flacco, but because he knows how smart Joe Flacco is and that he can easily dot up Pittsburgh's defense. But like Pittsburgh beating the best record in the NFL, it does not make Pittsburgh a contender in the same way that when the Browns beat the Packers a couple weeks ago, even though the Panthers just beat the Packers, it didn't mean that they were better than the Packers. Yeah, they won that game, but no one looks at the Browns roster and is like, yeah, it's a better team than the Packers. So Pittsburgh is basically just staying on track to win the AFC North, which is not much of a brag or a talking point considering that entire division due to injuries is essentially like an atom bomb versus a coughing baby. Like Pittsburgh, well, not even an atom bomb, because that means that there's like destructive nature to it. The only destructive thing about the Steelers is their self-destructive nature. The way I'm talking, you'd think we lost, but it's just frustrating because like where was like going into halftime, I was live and people were like, oh, how do you feel about this game? Pittsburgh was up by 10. And I was like, yeah, we were up by 10 last week. Look how that turned out. So it's a long, like I will say it looked like we made adjustments. I still need to see Pittsburgh commit to Jaylen Warren in the run game more. Like Jaylen Warren is genuinely a really good team, really good player. And Pittsburgh refuses to. Tristan, all right, Tristan, one of the guys at my gym just said C because he told me that we were going to beat the Colts. Look at that, 6 takeaways today, the most since 2010 against Tennessee. But Pittsburgh needs to rely on Jaylen Warren more. The pass game doesn't exist. It really doesn't. I like the usage of Darnell Washington. I don't like how we use 5 tight ends. I know it's not actually 5, but like Pittsburgh is going to be a buyer at the trade deadline, and we're probably going to end up with like Jacoby Myers. I know we just signed MVS, but like speaking of receivers, Roman Wilson's career is over because if there's one thing Mike Tomlin will do, it is punish you for mistakes. And Roman Wilson already didn't have a career, and after that hurdle fumble, yeah, GG, he's never going to be a player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Calvin Austin's been good and like very consistent. The thing for me is like if I could have anything for the Steelers. Like, would I want Olave? Yeah, but I don't want that because of the contract and because of his injury history and consistency that he gets injured at. And it's not worth paying somebody for the fact that they might not be on the field. I think he's a perfect wide receiver 2. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 in the league. I think he's a perfect wide receiver 2. And so, like, yeah, that'd be nice, but I don't want that to happen, mainly from a cap standpoint. We already have the most expensive defense in the NFL that just let up a 25-yard pass to Alec Pierce. But like wide receiver wise, Jacoby Myers, sure. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who we get because they're not going to be utilized. Like Pittsburgh could, let's say AJ Brown was available and Pittsburgh traded for him, right? Let's say Pittsburgh traded like Alex Highsmith, Pat Freiermuth, and a third for AJ Brown. It doesn't matter because we wouldn't use him. We really wouldn't. We don't utilize 2 wide receiver sets, and you could tell that Pittsburgh was comfortable not doing that once they traded away George Pickens. I didn't like that trade because you see George Pickens balling, but it's better for George Pickens because he's actually being utilized. He would not have been utilized on the team. Pittsburgh knew that. They're like, we're not going to use a wide receiver 2. We're going to use 50 tight ends. And so, or we're going to use 2 running backs. I know Caleb Johnson gets a couple of snaps a game, but it really is just Kenny G and Jalen. But I do want to see Pittsburgh use the run game more. Like, yeah, I know Aaron's style is like gunslinging, but clearly Pittsburgh doesn't want to let him do that for whatever reason, even though we saw him huck up a 70-yard pass against the Bengals a couple weeks ago. But like that's not what Pittsburgh's going to do, so there's no reason to force it. So just run the ball and just use Jalen. Like Jalen is I think he's looked like the best running back we've had since prime Le'Veon Bell. He always looked better than Najee. And every Steelers fan could tell you that we wanted Jalen to play more than Naj because Jalen just had more juice. So I want to see more of that. I want to see more DK. I mean, looking at the box score from today, DK I think only had 4 targets. He did drop one of those, which was on him. But like, yeah, let's take a look here. So DK had 4 targets and he had 2 receptions for 6 yards. And then you have Kenneth Gainwell, who had 5 targets, Jaylen Warren, who had 2. That's another thing I want to see. I know why, and I'm not just saying this because I have Jaylen Warren in fantasy football, but I do want to see Jalen in the pass game more because his ability to get yards after the catch is so genuinely impressive, and I need to see more of it. Kenny G is great at it too, and I understand why we utilize him. He's a great third down back, but I do think that I'm not saying Kenny G doesn't have juice because he definitely does. He has a lot of burst, but Jalen has more. And sorry, the field goal is good, so it'll be a touchdown game unless they recover this onside kick. But going back to wide receiver targets, Calvin Austin had 6 targets. He's looked great since coming back. It's just a lot of short. So anyways, one thing I was talking about, sorry, I got distracted from, is like what I would like to have like an Olave and a DK lineup on the outsides and then Calvin Austin in the slot, and then we have a rotating of tight ends. But that, because I think Calvin Austin's the perfect slot guy, just run drag, slants, and out routes and operate in the flat because of his speed and acceleration. And then you have 2 big bodies on the outside who use their bodies properly to put themselves in position to win, go balls. And so that's what I would like to see, but it's not going to happen. So once the trade deadline comes, Pittsburgh should just go for like Jacoby Myers, who's a good run blocker. It'll help us in the run game. But it's also like, why are we going to invest a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick? Like if we get Jacoby for a 5th or a 4th, that's I'm comfortable with that, but I'm not giving up a 3rd round pick because we need to save up draft capital for a potential franchise quarterback, even though I don't know if I even want a quarterback in this upcoming draft class. And then Roman Wilson. But like looking at majority of the targets, Darnell Washington 6, Jonnu 5. Like we had 4, 10, 15. Okay, Pittsburgh recovered the onside kicks. The game's over. We had 15 targets to tight ends, and we had 6, 10, 12 targets to wide receivers. So the tight ends are getting more looks anyway. So there's no point in trading for a wide receiver. The running backs also had 8 targets. The running backs almost had more targets or the same amount of targets as the wide receivers. And then switching up to the defense a little. Okay, offensive line, I will give them a huge amount of credit and praise because they are always the scapegoat for Pittsburgh. They had a phenomenal game today. Aaron got sacked a couple of times. It was really frustrating to watch, especially early into the game. But their run blocking as the game kept going on, started to kind of even out and become more consistent. I really like to see that. Aaron looks a lot more comfortable in the pocket, which is nice to see. And I don't think, Indianapolis is definitely going to be in the market for an edge rusher. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they landed Trey Hendrickson or if they were somehow able to get like a Max Crosby because they're in a win now mode. And I think like they are genuinely like a pass rusher away from winning or from like being like a locked and loaded contender. But that being said, even though they don't have that, Pittsburgh was still able, like they still are a good defense. Pittsburgh was able to shut down that defensive front to the point where Aaron looked comfortable for most of the game. Now, that being said, Aaron also did only throw the ball 35 times. I'll take that. Daniel Jones threw the ball 50. Quick tangent. I had Daniel in fantasy today. Finished with 13 points. If it wasn't for all the turnovers, he would have had I want to say 28, not 28. Brother, Sleeper, can you work with me? Sleeper, can you work with me, please? Okay. Let's see. He lost 10 points off of turnovers, so he would have 23 points. I still might win this game somehow. Austin, if you let me win this when I had to end up playing Christian Watson and RJ Harvey, that's an insane win for me if this happens. Oh, he's sneaking up because Bo Nix is starting to cook. Fourth quarter Bo is like a legitimate thing. Oh, the game's tied. Oh, God. Oh, God, it's tied. Please stop. Unless you're going to throw a touch on RJ Harvey, in which case, anyways, this is a Stewart's video. Switching up to the defense real quick. That's what I was looking at. I mean, there's nothing I can complain about from the defensive standpoint because we allowed 20 points. We basically allowed 13 because there was an end of game, or we allowed 17 because there was an end of game field goal that they made. But at the end of the day, when you get 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles because of a muff punt recovery, so 2 forced fumbles and a muff punt recovery, I mean, you can't just say it's not good, but at the same time, the Colts kind of beat themselves here. They did not run the ball with Jonathan Taylor that much. And I feel like if they would have stuck with that, they would have had more success. So Pittsburgh benefited off of that, but I'm not going to sit here and give most of the credit I'm not going to give the credit of the performance that Pittsburgh's defense had to the fact that it's something that the Colts did not do. Tucker Kraft's knee injury is serious and does not look good. Great. That's really bummer because he was having an amazing season. So I don't know. We play the Chargers next week, and honestly, Pittsburgh might win that game because Joe Alt went down. It looks like he could be out for the season as well with an ACL injury. If he is, then we should absolutely feast. This is a great example, though. Pittsburgh should win that game only because of that reason. I think the Chargers are a better team. Offensive wise, their weapons are absolutely insane. We had trouble locking down the Colts weapons today for the most part. Like Alec Pierce had a huge game, and so did Michael Pittman Jr. and so did Tyler Warren. Only finished with 40 yards, but they were still very impactful. Like his usage was very impactful. And now you're going to be going up against not only Quentin Johnson, not only Ladd McConkey, not only Keenan Allen, but also I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm so sorry because I don't know it very well yet. But they're tight end that's been on the up, and so they have the better weapons, but their O-line is so bad and Justin Herbert is constantly running for his life that you should look at this and see Pittsburgh's pass rush and the depth between both TJ and then also the rotation that they have with Highsmith and Herbig, and also now Jack Sawyer, who's been a more prominent role lately, and he's been very efficient when he's been on the field. So you look at that and you're like, yeah, we should be able to take advantage of this Chargers team. And then they won't. And somehow, Herbo will throw for 375 and run for 60, while maybe Pittsburgh gets 1 or 2 turnovers, like a pick and a lucky fumble that bounces their way, and they win the game 28-25 or something like that. But I don't know what to expect from this defense next week. The acquisition of Darius Slay has been really frustrating. First 3 weeks of the season, he looked great. The last 3 weeks, he's looked like a huge liability out there. He did get hurt today, so I hope he's okay. Obviously, putting football aside, it's never that serious. You never wish injury on somebody. That being said, while on the snaps that he was out, it did look like Pittsburgh's secondary was a little more improved. I'm still very frustrated with the fact that we don't give Beanie Bishop a chance. He had a phenomenal rookie season. Yeah, he's a little undersized, and he primarily plays the slot. And I know we've been primarily playing Jalen in the slot just to shield other teams from his, how his speed has kind of regressed into the later years of his career. But that being said, maybe you just move Jalen to more of a safety position, and then you have Beanie in the middle, in the slot, and then you have, I know that Trice got hurt, but Eccles has been really good for Pittsburgh this season. You have Eccles and Joey on the outside. So I don't know though. I have no complaints from the defense from this game for the most part, they've earned that. How am I going to criticize a team that had 6 turnovers and beat the best team in football record-wise, and the best offense in football over the last 24 years? You can't sit here and, even though it pisses me off that they can't do this every single week, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, no, they weren't good. They were frustrating, but they were good. Talking about the last couple of weeks, I mean, there's not really anything I really want to talk about from the last couple of games that feel warranted. I think if anything, like in my videos, you'll see my opinions occasionally sneak in. I still don't think Pittsburgh's a top 10 team. Like when I do my top 10 rankings, do not expect to see them. You'll see the Colts fall because they lost, but you will not see the Steelers on there. I mean, you already have Eagles and Broncos fans clamoring at me, thinking I hate them because they were not ranked how they wanted. But Pittsburgh is not a top 10 team. I still struggle to say Pittsburgh is a top 15 team. Is Pittsburgh a playoff team? Yes, but that's because of it's the Luigi is the last one standing meme where the division just toppled over. Now, I still do think Pittsburgh or the Ravens could win this division. I mean, the Ravens, I think, have the third easiest strength of schedule for the rest of the season, and Lamar looks like he's back to 100. That's a very scary team. Another great example of a team that Pittsburgh should lose to twice, but if somehow we beat them both times, because Pittsburgh has had Lamar Jackson's record or has had his number historically, so we probably split the series, and that ends up pushing the division Pittsburgh's way. But like, Pittsburgh does not deserve to win this division, and if Pittsburgh hosts a playoff game, it'll most likely be against a team that's either hot or has some type of momentum going into the playoffs, and Pittsburgh will just kind of be limping into the playoffs, if I had to guess, and we do not win a playoff game. I would love to be wrong. Listen, I don't have any like enthusiasm in my voice about this season, but it's mainly because the last 4 seasons have broken me as a fan, and I realize what this team is, and they don't give me anything to like really push for right now. I will always love this team. It is the picture of the husband putting the umbrella over his wife while it's raining, and it's like, just because I'm mad at you doesn't mean I don't care. I love this team. My heart and soul lies with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and yes, occasionally my mental health is determined by how 22 men perform on a grassy field on a Sunday. But over the last couple of seasons, I don't see enough changes to warrant me sitting here sweating about every single game how I have for the last 4 years before that. You guys, I used to be so superstitious watching every single Steelers game. I would not move. If I was sitting in a certain position, I was like, well, this has been working for us. And clearly it wasn't, because we didn't do anything good. But, that's what being a fan does to you. Now I'm like walking around, cleaning occasionally, live streaming while talking about the games and like doing all this other stuff. And so like, because I don't see any commitment from the team yet for the future and like changing things. This is the exact same football team that we've had for the last 6 years. I was at a Halloween party, and I was talking to a guy in my gym. I want to say his name, but I don't want to say his name because like I didn't ask to talk to him. We'll call him S in the chance that he does not want me to say his name. Very nice guy. But S is a Titans and a Falcons fan, and he comes up to me. He's like, man, I got to talk to you. Why? What's your deal with Mike Tomlin? I'm like, man, here's the thing. I have been a Tomlin defender through 3 coordinators, 5 quarterbacks, and all this, all that jazz. And I haven't maybe stopped there and been like, the problem's been everybody else, in my opinion. But maybe after so many changes, it's like when a guy or a girl says that all of their ex-boyfriends or girlfriends were crazy. It's like, well, if you've been through so many, maybe we have found the common denominator here, and it's you. And so that's where I'm at. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is, whether it's a veteran or a rookie, or whether it is, the Bengals just took the lead on the, okay, this makes me feel a little bit better about the Steelers, even though the Bengals lost to the Jets. But, I haven't, the team has looked exactly the same, both offensively and defensively, over the last 6 years. And it doesn't matter who the coordinator is, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, doesn't matter what the experience or the skill gap is. It's the exact same team. Doesn't matter changing up the rosters, wide receivers, like everything. Running backs have been completely different. We all look exactly the same. There's a very consistent thing with Pittsburgh as well. We never have a good defense and a good offense. We have one or the other. Right now, we have a mediocre average offense. I'd say we have a top 15 offense right now, but we have a bottom 20. Well, bottom 20 means like top 10. We have a bottom like 10, bottom of the barrel defense right now. Yes, I know we had a good week this week, but I'm just talking from the season overall. So we never have that consistency. Meanwhile, 4 years ago, we had a top 3, if not the best defense in the league, but a bottom 5 offense, So there's never consistency there. And I can't just keep blaming coordinators, coaches, or coordinators, other like position coaches and players when it seems like there's only been one consistent factor. So that's what I was talking to him about. And he was like, I would love to have Mike Tomlin. I was like, hey, man, listen, I get it. Especially like the Falcons are obviously having a better season than the Titans. But like I get like if you were a Titans fan, you'd want something like that. I'm sure the Jets would love a Mike Tomlin The media, Mike Tomlin is the media's darling. And they always talk about, every team would love to have a Mike Tomlin. And they would. I'm sure they would, because this is the spoiled Steelers fan in me. I'm sick of... This team has better aspirations on a winning season, and there are teams out there that would just like a winning season. I understand that. I recognize that. I'm sure it's really annoying to hear Steelers fans complain about always having a winning season year after year, but our winning season is the equivalent to a losing season for those teams. That sounds like I'm roasting you guys, but I'm not. That's just the reality. And so we're sick of that. Sorry, Denver beat Houston on a game-winning field goal. Look at that. That's the reality of the situation. And so, I'm sick of mediocre seasons. And the thing is, I'm not like, we need a Super Bowl. Obviously we do, but I would also take a losing season for a better draft pick. So I have a franchise quarterback or like big pieces right now. So I don't know. Looking ahead to the Chargers game next week, I kind of already talked about it a little bit. And then we play the Browns, I think, the week after that. And then the Bears, I believe, because I will be traveling the day of the Bears game. I'll be in Europe for 2 weeks. The Bears game and is it the Bills that we play after the Bears? There's 2 games I'm going to miss because I'll be in Europe for. Let me take a look real quick. Where are my Steelers? We play. Oh, it's the Bengals after the Chargers. Sorry, not the Browns. Bears and Bills. Yeah, so I'll be in Europe for both of those games. Still try to watch them. Let's see, the Bears game's at 10 a.m. Bills game is at 1 p.m. Hey, Google, what time is it in Paris right now?
1:32 p.m.
Girl. Hey, Google, what time is it in Paris?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
What time is it in Paris? 10:32 p.m. Okay, so I'll be watching the Bears game at like 6 p.m. That's not bad. Now, the Bills game will be starting at this time, so 10 o'clock. That's a little rough, but we'll try to make it work. So I don't know if I'll be doing recaps for those games, but we'll see. I would like to say I'm excited for the rest of the season, but I'm not excited. I'm not disappointed. I'm just here. I'm just existing. So nice to be back, though. I was told that you guys kind of like the sitting setting a little bit better because it's more like talking to like, your friend about the game. So we're going to try this out. The reason I always did like the standing is because like I could be a little more animated, but apparently this is a little more cozy for you guys, which we're getting into cozy months. So I kind of get that. If you guys do prefer the other one though, let me know. I can switch it up, or if you guys like this better. Also, we just hit 200K on TikTok, which is absolutely amazing. We're inching up on 100K on Instagram, and we're I think like 71K right now on YouTube. I'd love to hit 100K on YouTube by the end of the year. Same with Instagram. I think that's very doable, since we just started in November. YouTube seems like a little more of a goal, but if I could get 100K by the end of the year, that'd be absolutely amazing. I've been absolutely loving making content lately, and we're just kind of getting started, and it's going to be heating up from this point on. But yeah, the sport's been super, super cool, and the opportunities I've gotten in my life because of you guys lately, especially, have been mind-boggling, because what is my life right now? But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening to me talk nonsense for 20 minutes. I appreciate you guys, and maybe I'll see you guys next week. Just depends on, you probably won't. That game will end at 9 o'clock. My dad's coming out for that game as well, so we'll see. Maybe I'll talk about the next day, but probably not. Yeah, you guys know how we end. Wait, do you want to say something? No? She just woke up from a nap, so I don't think she's gonna say anything. But you guys know how we end these.